All right, we back at it. It's DJ Head. It's homegrown. I got a legend in the building hanging out with me today, and I've been meaning to get to this for a minute. Honestly, I don't spend a lot of time on the other side of the country, and this man flew in just to do the show with me today, straight from Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend himself, Rico Love.
Turn the lights on.
Turn the lights on, man. First and foremost, I want to say this publicly. On record, documented. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. You are somebody who I look at like, I don't want to say, it's kind of like one of them cliche things where they say, oh, you don't get your flowers or you don't get your just due. But I feel like a lot of people have benefited off the back of Rico Love, right? and countless people, because you got to figure, even the artists that you've worked with, that you coached, that you mentor, that you wrote for, that you produced for, that you have featured on your shit, have ecosystems among themselves, right?
Yeah.
They have assistants, they have drivers, they have. If you think about that from the tree of Rico Love, a lot of people have benefited off the back. So I want to give you that salute.
Oh, thank you so much.
First and foremost, and then also, I mean, we're gonna get into the records and the music and all that stuff. But how is Rico Love feeling? Because we was just talking. And you've been everywhere. You was in Africa. What was you in Africa for? If you
I was visiting Africa with Afrozone, celebrating the addition of the African performance category to the Grammys.
Right.
And then we just kind of spent a few days out there just running around. I hung out with Mama Burner and just Sheila O, Emmanuel, Linus, like tons of elected officials in the government. Just had a great time and just building, just building, really figuring out what the future is going to look like for not only just the BMC, but also the We Love Music Conference and everything I got going on outside.
Shout out to the BMC too. We were at the event, and everybody's here for Grammy Week, but we was at the BMC event, and Rico walked up in this, like it's this gigantic, like, I don't know what animal it was. I don't know what animal it was, but it was white.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful, and you look like I forgot which Marvel character it is, but you look like a full Marvel character, and I was like, I could at first when it caught my eye, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Rico. You known for your luxury. I look at Rico Love like a luxury brand.
Oh, that's what's up.
You know what I'm saying, like Apple.
I like that.
Is that intentional? Is that because I also want to, for the artist that's going to watch this and hear this, is that part of being an artist? Is that part of being a creative?
It's absolutely intentional.
Okay.
It's a part of how it's what makes me feel good. It's what makes me feel like myself. So I don't feel like I need all of these things, but it makes me feel like wealth. And I feel like in order to gain wealth, you got to look like wealth. If you got to speak wealth, you got to walk in it, you got to live in it. So it's something that's a part of who I am in my DNA. And believe it or not, I haven't shopped in years. And people look at my wardrobe and they assume that
Wait. No. When you say you haven't shopped, and somebody does the shopping for you?
No, meaning I haven't even had to go shopping yet.
Oh, you just got?
I have so many things that I accumulated over time, and I've selected great pieces.
Yeah.
So when you look at my pieces, it looks like I just got it, but I've collected the right types of pieces over the years, over time, and and also I was in a space for many years where I was overweight. I had gained a lot of weight, so I was 65 pounds heavier than I am right now. So for a long time, I couldn't wear a lot of my stuff. So I'm pulling out things now, and people are like, "What's that?" I'm like, yeah, I couldn't wear this for a while, so now I can. But yeah, I haven't. People assume that I shop every single day. You know what I mean?
I would assume that.
Yeah, when they look at my wardrobe and they look at, I like to get dressed, and that's something that's a part of who I am. I came up under Puff and Usher. You know what I mean? Those are my big brothers and mentors in the business. So that's what I saw. That's all I knew. Mason. Diddy, Usher.
Shiny Suit Man.
Yeah. So that was a reflection of what I wanted to be, how I want to look and feel. I grew up in that era of looking at that, idolizing that opulence. But believe it or not, I've just accumulated an incredible collection that I feel like my closet is like curated. So I don't have to. There was a time in my life where I was spending ridiculous amounts of money on clothes.
What's that look like? A ridiculous amount?
Probably like $150,000 a month on shopping.
A month?
Yeah. I'm not even exaggerating. And I'm not saying it to brag.
No, I'm not
saying it. I'm saying it like I don't feel like that was a part of my life that I don't feel like I need to repeat. But also, it was a part of my life that I was like, why you don't really have to do this. You know what happened was one day a good friend of mine, Mr. Ruggs, actually, Ruggs said to me, he was like, you know, these guys are still in these clothes, bro. You know, like you really are buying clothes, and every people in here is boosting, like, or they buy it and bring it back, or he said, you the only person that's really buying this stuff. Like, you gotta chill, yeah. Like, and I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, because everything about me, I'm not a poser, so everything I represent is like always authentic. So that was a wake up call for me. You know what I mean? So I was just like, damn, why am I doing this? And then I went through some very difficult times and I wasn't able to shop that way. Right. So when I wasn't able to for a long time, I thought to myself, I'm okay. Like, I don't have to do this. So then when I was back in a position where I was able to, I didn't need to. I didn't feel the desire to. But I do love nice clothes and nice brands, so I can get small pieces and I can do little things to put things together. But I don't have to shop the way that I used to. I have an incredible collection of timeless pieces.
That's insane. First of all, 150 a month is wild. Did you do that for like 12 months, or you did that for like more than 12?
Years? Yeah, a couple years. Like, I was really going crazy. You know,
I'm not good at math.
I'm very serious. And and again, I'm not saying it to say that I advise it, or it's because I know a lot of people talk about money they spent and they try to be like, yeah, that's not. I want to do it as a precautionary tale to tell people like, yo,
you don't have to do.
You don't have to do that. And the thing about it is, I have accumulated a great amount, and I've given away millions of dollars worth of clothes. I've given away to friends and people around me. Now I have a son who's 13 and he's almost my height, so I don't ever have to give anything away outside of my son. But I've given away so much to people, and I love to give and I love to do that. So that's not a big deal. But I would say if anybody's looking at this, you don't really need that. You don't have to do that,
because that's the perception. Yeah. That's what's fed, is that you have to have this or you have to have that.
Yeah, and I think that it's because we're competing with each other, and if everybody is poor, then whoever looks the richest amongst the poor is the coolest in the room. So I just don't want us to get caught up in that, because we're all in this fight together. We shouldn't be trying to shine on each other. We should be trying to shine with each other.
Shout out to my big brother Glasses, G Malone. He always told me that. He said, "Why would you go to the hood and try to shine on your people?
Yeah, that's
your people."
But and it just showed the consistency of what the conversation is out here. It's the fact that we are all living in tough situations, and in order for us to feel better about our condition, that's why a lot of kids in the projects will have Jordans on. You're like, that this don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
It's because it's like, my baby got the Jordans. It was really the mom, and then it was teaching that to the children. So then the kids grow up and be like, I got these and you don't got this. We're making fun of you. And why? Because this is how we feel society is treating us. And if you're being abused from this perspective, then whoever's below you, that's who you abuse. And who's below them, that's who they abuse. And the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. So I think that the idea of having to make sure I got this, and a lot of people, I remember somebody saying like, oh man, you wore that already. I know you can't wear that again. I'm like, try me.
Running this back.
I'm running this back.
When's the last time you repeated an outfit? Do you know?
I repeat outfits.
No, I'm talking about like, did you wear anything like to the Grammys or to an awards ceremony? Or
this jacket I got on, I wore to the Grammys last year. No, 2 years ago.
See, that's
I wore
why.
this on the red carpet. It's a Virgil. This is one of the last pieces that Virgil made.
Word.
And I wore this on at the Grammys. So now I just kind of wear it. I wear it as like a casual jacket. You know what I mean? This is like some fun, something to put on. But yeah. I take pieces that seem extremely luxurious and I'll dress them down. Like I'll wear this with a hoodie. That white fur I had on last night.
Yeah.
It would be nothing for me to be out with that with some jeans and a hoodie on with that. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Like just kind of like you go to the big event with it and you shine, but then after that, it becomes a part of your wardrobe and you can pull it out anytime you want.
I love that, bro. You brought up, you said earlier in your career, I do want to go back a little bit because I never had a chance to talk to you about it, but I remember you telling the story about how you got your first record deal. I think you was 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Is that?
Yeah, I was like around, I got signed. I was like 18, 19 years.
Okay, so when you first got signed at 18, 19, I feel like a lot of artists feel like that's how it's supposed to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get signed as I'm young. The label gives me $1 million.
Yeah, I remember. I thought,
Right? The label gives me $1 million, and then I'm just famous.
Yeah.
And now I go get $100,000 a show. That I think in people's mind, a lot of artists, that especially the ones that I talk to, all of them think that that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And your story is a little different. Like you have to earn your keep.
Yeah.
And you like you said, you go up and then you come down and then you climb back.
Yeah.
And
it keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. Until you find something that establishes a certain type of wealth for you. You know what I mean? And that's the difference. But yeah, there was an idea that you're supposed to get signed. I remember.
Did you believe that?
Yes.
Okay, so you thought I'm out of here.
I remember getting signed, and when I put out a single called "Settle Down," right? And it was on the soundtrack called "In the Mix," a movie that Usher did, because I did the soundtrack. And we shot a video for it. I remember after the video, I flew everybody, all my friends out to the video. And I was thinking to myself, this song is going to be crazy. So I was just I remember telling a banker, I think his name is Hernandez at SunTrust Bank. I remember telling him, yeah, so I need to know, because I'm about to probably be on the road a lot. I'm probably going to be getting like 20, 30,000 a night. I need to know how to, do I deposit it and how do I get it to y'all? And I'm just talking again, and he's like, oh yeah, well, what you could do. And I'm just thinking like, oh, it didn't work out like that.
It don't go right. It don't work like that, son.
So, yeah, you have these expectations. I think now it's different because social media has erased the mystique of the music business.
Facts.
So I don't think that people kind of know. They know that it's difficult. It's not the same. Obviously, those rare occurrences where artists just take off, where you got honchos and Skilla Babies, and artists will just kind of create these buzzes. And that time they took, Ride 49, or the time it took for these guys to develop with some real time, but I think guys look at that and they believe it's overnight, and they believe it's going to happen for them overnight.
I believe that. Do you think that now? Okay, so also I'll skip something. You got your deal 18, 19, 20-ish around that time, right? But then you signed an artist like a year later.
Yeah, immediately. Takara Hamilton. Yeah.
Shout out to okay. Yeah. What? Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I was doing at 19. I lost my virginity at 19. Okay, like right before I went to college, I lost my virginity. Like 18, transition to 19, and I was skateboarding every day. I was not trying to be a record executive at 19. Did you already have that mindset?
I knew exactly what I was going to be. I named my company Division One. It was a guy named BJ who was in Atlanta as well. He moved down to Atlanta. We kind of came up together. And I told him, yo, we both play basketball. We both love basketball. Let's name our company Division One and let's sign artists.
D1.
And he was like, bro, you haven't even got a deal yet, like you. And I was just telling him. And so I said, cool. I just started it myself. So I started the label, and so as soon as signed,
hold on, not to cut you off. When you say you started a label, like you filed for a business?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, continue, sir.
Yeah, one of my mentors who passed away, Bishop Malone, he gave me the money to start my business.
What was his initial investment?
It was just $700 to pay for the
business
LLC.
LLC.
So I remember starting Division One LLC in Redan, Georgia. Because I was going back and forth, and I had lived in Atlanta just trying to make it. So I remember being down there, and I started the company. And when I got signed to Usher, I was like, yo, as I was on the road with him, and I was telling Takara, because she's super talented still to this day, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna sign you. You're gonna be my first artist. And brought her to Atlanta, moved too fast, and the loyalty wasn't there, and I can't blame her. She was young. Everybody in her face.
You were young.
I was young, but she was even more young because, so yeah, that was my mindset. My mentality was I want to be like Puff. I want to be like Russell. I want to be like, the guys I look up to. I don't want to be an executive. So my whole idea of who I want to be was as an artist, was a brand, was with Jay-Z and Rockefeller, was DNY with Rough Riders, was, Diddy and Bad Boy. That was my mindset. So I thought, yeah, you put out a record, you get popping, you sign something, they get popping. I saw 50 do it with G Unit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I saw Jay do it with Rockefeller. So it was like one of those things. It was my mentality. It was just build, be an executive.
That's crazy. First of all, second of all, that's dope. I mean, because you got to have some balls on you to not even be where you are and be like, yeah, I'm gonna sign an artist, I'm gonna get a label, and then also Bishop, what's his name?
Bishop Long, yeah.
Shout out to Bishop Long for even pouring into you in that way, because a lot of elder statesmen or OGs, they be like, man, if you don't get out my,
day one,
right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about from a perspective of a songwriter, because I mean, you're famous and people know who you are, but I also think that from a songwriter's perspective, that's not something that's respected like it used to be. I don't want to sound like, I don't want to put a date on like date the ideology of it, right? But I think that songwriting has gotten diluted because people feel like it's a badge of honor that I write my own shit. Yeah, but you can write your own trash. Shout out to DJ Clue. He just had this whole rant about how songs are trash and nobody's like writing songs anymore, and there's a structure to it, and there's an art. It's an art form, like to write and craft a song, not just for you as an artist, but also putting yourself in somebody else's space and being able to write for them, right? What was the first song you wrote for somebody else that blew up?
The first song I ever wrote was Throwback for Usher on Confessions.
Wow.
Yeah, before that I was just rapping. That was the first song I said, like, this is a song, I'm gonna write a song for somebody. That was gonna Throwback.
So you wrote it with the intention like, this is for Usher.
Yeah, he gave me the track. I went to his office and I was like, I need money. And he was like, all right.
So
yeah, I was signed to him as a rap artist.
Right.
So when I went to his office, I was like,
if you're signing somebody, they did your deal, you have your deal, but you went to him and just was like, I need some money.
Like I didn't get paid when I did my deal.
Oh, okay, got
it was a shopping agreement. So we were in the midst of him finalizing his deal with J Records, which took about almost like a year after I was signed, a year and a half after I got signed.
Gotcha.
So I didn't have money. And so the thing about me and Usher's relationship was, as soon as I got signed, we spent a lot of time together as brothers. So you would think, he had an R&B group called One Chance. You would think that he would spend more time with the R&B group, but he and I were like kindred spirits. So we were like always together. He would call me like, come to the house. Let's hang out. Yo, I'm going here. Hang out. One time he called me and said, get on the plane, come to LA, bring an empty bag, and he just took me shopping. You know,
Word.
He was my friend. You know what I mean? Is my friend, like my brother. So we would hung around each other so much so that I was on MTV Diary with them, or he did BET How I'm Living. You know, remember that show How I'm Living?
Yep.
So I was on How I'm
Living.
Living.
All
of that. So I was there, invisible, and then they took me on tour. So when people saw me, family members, cousins, all these people, friends, they were like, "Oh, you on? Yo, I need this. I need this." So I went to him like, "Yo, I need money. My people need money. I think." And he said, I can give you money and you'll just blow it. How about I give you an opportunity to make your own money? So write this song for me. And he gave me this track. And I was going to write a rap to it. And my manager, Cersei, he came to me and was like, first of all, he was my first manager, and he's still to this day one of my best friends and my mentor. And he said to me, I was sitting in the car. He had a green Acura. I was sitting in the Acura outside of Red Zone Studios. And he said, I was writing raps. He said, no, bro, write a song. He told you to write a song. Don't write raps, write a real song.
Facts.
So I sang, you never miss a good thing until it leaves you, in the song, in the voice notes. And JQ Smith demoed it for me. He referenced it for me. And it changed my whole life.
Wow.
That was the first song I ever wrote.
Do you think, now, okay, so first of all, that's dope. But I think that Confessions is one of those albums. Like I've gotten to a real heated debate about this before, right? Like it's a real thing. I don't know if it's that serious at this point in time, but when you start to revisit classics and you start to deem things as classics, right?
Confessions was an instant classic.
Immediate.
Like it wasn't
there was no discussion. Like because I again, I won't say her name. She's a radio personality. I love her. There's a heated debate about this on the radio, and it's like, well, 8701, and I'm like, it's Confessions.
Yeah,
this is like one of those transcending albums that I feel like changed the climate.
Yeah,
it wasn't just this is a dope Usher project. This changed climate.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, between you and shout out to JD and like Jermaine. Like I feel like I want to get your
sonically
and
First of all, I think 8701 is one of my favorite Usher albums. My Way is one of my favorites. I love those albums. But even though 8701 was not a perfect album, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
There was
Chinks in the armor.
Yeah. U-Turn wasn't one of my favorite songs on there. There was a few on there that I feel like good old. I didn't like that record. It was like 2 or 3 on there that I didn't like. There was not one song on Confessions that I don't absolutely love. You know what I mean? Even Take My Hand, you know what I mean? That's what it's made for. The records that was like deep cuts. It's just a perfect album. In my opinion, it's just a perfectly crafted album.
And also, full disclosure, I want to say this because the purists that watch my show and know who I am out here on the West, I'm not an R&B fan by any sense of the word.
Really?
I do not like R&B.
Wow.
It's just because I think we've more so got into the blues and forgot the rhythm at this point. It's all melodic. It's all 60 BPM. I'm a DJ by trade too.
Yeah.
You got to think I came up in the Lil Jon era.
Oh yeah.
I came up looking at
Lil Jon.
I came up looking at Rick Rock and Battle Cat
Okay.
So I'm a party DJ where the dance floor was bigger than the sections.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Jesus.
So
what a time.
And I am not. Women accuse me of not being emotionally available. Right.
So for lack of better words.
So me being emotionally constipated, R&B doesn't speak to me the same way, you know.
Okay.
You know, bitch, I'm underrated. Switch like
Yeah.
it's different, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So since we talk about Confessions though, I agree with you. I love that album.
Perfect album.
I love Confessions. I didn't love 8701. My Way and stuff was a little young. It was a little before me, but
I love 8701.
Okay.
And so that's why my argument for Confessions is different.
strong.
It makes more. I love 8701. I used to catch the bus to Atlanta every weekend trying to make it in the music business from Tallahassee. I went to college at FAMU.
Damn.
I would catch the bus every weekend and I would listen to 8701. My man Chad Roper used to drive me some weekends when I didn't catch the bus. Sometimes he was available. He would drive me to Atlanta on the weekends and we would play 8701. That's the album we would play. My man Brandon would drive me he was from Pensacola, Florida. He would drive me to Atlanta some weekends and we would play 8701 nonstop. So me meeting Usher and being, him becoming one of my close friends, my brothers, the godfather of my children, that is insane for me because I grew up
with that.
Come on, man, just call me the Mac, and you make me want to like that. I remember those moments. I remember where I was when those songs came out. I remember hearing Nice and Slow for the first time and sitting down and thinking to myself, what is this? I don't know what to do listening to this. This is that incredible. So for me to say that Confessions is a perfect album, and I think 8701 is not a perfect album in my opinion, it means a lot because I think 8701 is a high album.
Yes, up there.
But I could see the flaws.
Right.
There are songs on there that I'm like, we could have did without that record, right? There's not one song on Confessions that I could say I could have did without that. No.
And my personal opinion, I don't think we needed a deluxe. Like I don't think we needed a.
You had to. When the company gets so big, it's like Netflix. Netflix has to figure out how to charge you more because it's like,
I feel you.
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go? Okay,
that's
so
business.
that's
the business of music. When it comes in.
But it would have been perfect without it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 urban
But what
legends.
happens is when an album is so perfect, usually, and this is why I want to explain deluxes for people, when an album is so perfect and people are full off this album, the record company has to come away because usually it's 2 singles. You work them over time. You start off you do 200,000 the first week. In 6 months you're at gold. In another year you're at platinum. All right, cool. Now we're gonna release the next single, and that's gonna help sell it. No, every song on the album was a single. So what we have to do is we did 1.4 million the first week. We did 600, 800,000 the first day. So in order for us to take this record to the next level, all right, we got to do a deluxe.
You have to. It's the business of music.
Yeah,
that's just part of it. Were you around for the construction of the entire Confessions album?
I was a part for remnants of it.
Okay.
I was there. I was signed to him.
I'm not talking about like being involved like musically.
No. And I was there. I witnessed a lot of it, but I wasn't in the room for a lot of those songs. But I was in that space. I was signed to him, and I was a part of, his infrastructure when he was making that record.
There's 3 urban legends that surround. Well, no, there's 2 urban legends that surround the Confessions album, and then I also want to talk about the JD thing because I got a lot of heat for my love for Jermaine Dupri. Like he's my top. He's my number one.
And
I know I'm from the West Coast, and I know it's blasphemous. JD's number one for me.
Nah, JD's
he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
and I told him that, and like he's the guy.
I don't understand why somebody could.
Well,
I could see if somebody's saying he's not my GOAT.
No.
But to say that's a crazy
because there was a conversation that happened online that I partaked in, and it went viral about the whole versus thing with when Puff.
JD,
Puff and JD, and I was like, it's JD by a landslide. And they're like, well, you from LA, there's other producers that are from here that you should be riding for. And I'm like, JD has always been and always will be my number one. Hip hop and R&B, I like Tim is right there too, and everybody else, but it's JD. Like JD,
pioneer,
unstoppable. I love JD.
By the way, I've been in the studio with JD many times. He's one of my mentors and a dear friend. I've seen it. He's doing it.
He's making the beats himself.
Yeah,
he got the MPC, and he's banging the drums
those are his
himself.
Drum patterns, and then he's writing the raps, and he's singing the song.
Right.
He can't sing to save his life, but he in there singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He's different.
Okay.
He's different.
So there's two urban legends that surround the Confessions album that I want to. I'm gonna ask JD about it too, but from your knowledge, is Burn was initially the first single. But they switched to Yeah because they needed something different.
What happened was Burn was always slated to be the first record.
Okay.
When Sean Garrett wrote Yeah, it was like it shook up the whole Atlanta. Everybody was talking about this song.
Gotcha.
And L.A. Reid had Sean Garrett. I think Sean Garrett was signed to Hitco, or he would work at Hitco all the time. And no, he wasn't, because I don't think Sean did a pub deal till later. But he was at Hitco all the time, which was owned by L.A. Reid. So he heard this song and he's put out an APB on and told Usher, you got to cut this song. And Usher was like, I'm not singing this song. I'm not singing
Usher didn't want it.
No. I remember being in the room and they played it. And I was there when he played it for Usher. And I fell on the floor laughing. I thought it was terrible.
You thought it was terrible?
By the way, Sean Garrett is one of the greatest. And
you thought Yeah was terrible.
I'm in the club with the homies trying to kick a little VI and put it down on the low key.
You're coming from a purist
I'm listening to the words and I'm like, and then you hearing Sean's voice singing. It was like, what does that even mean, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, this is not. I laughed because I thought it was hilarious. Usher was like, I'm never singing that. I remember hearing, I don't know if it was Mark Pitts or KP was on the phone, and I remember hearing L.A. Reid on the phone saying, I don't give a fuck what you got to do. He better sing that fucking song. Hung up. And I just remember leaving and like, I'm thinking, oh, Usher not singing this
He's not
song.
going to do it.
I left. Man, I had a girlfriend at the time. She was from West Palm Beach. She and I were driving to West Palm Beach to meet her family. And on the way there, said, we're going to premiere a new Usher. We're going to be playing every hour on an hour, new Usher. We driving through cities, bro.
Nonstop.
Bro. I said, I don't know nothing about music because
when I heard your whole life, huh?
Because when I heard Usher sing it,
yeah,
I understood. It became different. I'm like, this is the illest shit in the world. So what happens is the gift of A&R, artist and repertoire, the understanding of how to hear a hit is a gift. Fact. And some people don't understand how to hear a hit. It's something I had to learn. Hearing a hit means I don't care who sings it. Hearing a hit means it could be a guy just like, I'm in the club with my homies, try to kick a little bit. And you're like, it's something to that. Let's speed that up. Let's put 808 behind it. Like, that's hearing a hit. L.A. Reid's ability, KP's ability, Mark Pitt's ability to hear a hit, Breon Prescott's ability to hear a hit. These are guys are true A&R men, I know. Their ability to hear a record, no matter the condition, the mix. You know, when people are like, oh, the mix wasn't good, so I ain't get it. You don't know how to hear a hit because these guys can hear through everything.
Hear it through everything.
You know what I mean?
There's no, yeah.
So when he did that record and it came out, that's what changed because Yeah was supposed to be that B-side.
Right. To Burn.
To Burn, because Burn was the ticket. Everybody knew Burn is going to be the You Got It Bad for this project.
It's the ballad that took everything.
Come on.
Yeah.
So
because ballads, I egregiously hate ballads. And Burn is one of my favorite songs.
Do you like children? Like what?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, bro. I've been in therapy.
Like,
you gotta pray for me.
You don't like ballads?
I don't like ballads.
Do you know who you talking? Like, you know?
I know. That's why.
That's just crazy.
I know.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is, what happened was it bought them so much time Because Yeah became such an explosive record that it bought them time to say, oh shit, we don't even have to rush Burn.
No.
Oh my God, we got a massive smash. We can roll this album out. The album was already exceptional. And I believe that with Burn, Confessions would have probably sold 3 to 4 million albums, right? What Yeah did, it made it a phenomenon.
Yeah.
So then when Confessions came out, and then the whole breakup with Chili, and then Chili got on the radio and said he did the unthinkable, and then the whole story about the baby. And all, without Yeah setting everything up, he's a global phenomenon, a mega superstar with Yeah. Then you got the story of Confessions, and then you got Burn as the song. It changes everything. Yeah. So now your first weekend, you're doing 1.4. You're breaking records that still haven't been broken today in R&B music.
Physical.
To this day.
Physical.
To this day, you couldn't even. So that's why I have to apologize to Sean Garrett as a young 17-year-old idiot.
All that to say.
Yeah. To say I didn't hear it, bro, and now I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong.
And that's why he's one of the greatest ever.
Okay, so that's funny as hell that you didn't like Yeah, because instantly, coming from a DJ's perspective.
No, but again, I had to learn. I didn't know how to hear a hit.
I feel you.
So you heard it after it was made.
Right.
So in fairness, you and I may
I heard the finished product.
Yeah, you may have felt the way I felt. Who knows?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because when I heard it when Usher sang it, I knew it.
Well, see, also
instantly,
because I'm a tactician, I'm a scientist. I'm a real geek in real life. Like I just do cool shit, right? In media, but I'm actually a nerd. Like so, when I look at songs like Yeah, to me, it's just like supposed to be, and I know they're not the same. Like Yeah is number one. It's not. It's the number one record in the country. Yeah, it took the world by storm. But to me, I look at it like from a formulaic standpoint, right? Even the way I produce music, I look at it very formulaic. There's no emotion attached to it. I'm like a MacBook, right? So when I look at Yeah, it's not only sonically amazing and not sonically a hit record, but on paper it's a hit record, right? It's 105 BPM. It has it has a great 808. It has a great high note. And even when I'm producing records and I'm telling people like, oh yeah, you need muddy drums and high, it's like you'll always win because this is not scientifically proven. I don't have any science to back this up, but I believe that white people can't hear low frequencies like we can. So they hear the highs and we hear the lows differently because of whatever. That's just my belief. So when you combine those two with amazing melodies and dope runs and stuff like that, I think instantly you have a formula for a hit record, right? Same thing when I looked at Post to Be. On paper, it's a Mustard Beats, Janae, it's Chris, it's Omarion, amazing melody, it's easy to learn. After you hear it one time, you know it, it's familiar, stuff like that. Like I just look at it very scientific as opposed to like the feeling up part of it. The second urban legend you mentioned was the Chili thing because there's a story attached to Confessions. I feel like Confessions as an album is always attached to that story. And I know that they've said that didn't have anything. Usher was like, JD said, we were just being creative. It had nothing to do with their situation and stuff like that. But it's like, I think in the black community, nobody ever believed that.
Yeah, but that wasn't the truth. That was a real thing.
That was a real thing.
That was JD's situation.
That was JD's situation.
Yeah, Confessions was JD's real situation.
Right.
When he was, and then he came up with the lyrics being creative because he just told me this in Vegas maybe a couple months, like 6-7 months ago. And he said when he was in LA, he stepped out and he was looking at he was walking around and he saw the Beverly Center, hand in hand, the Beverly Center. Like, man, he was really writing it as he was there. But that was his life. The Confessions thing about, having a baby.
Girl
that was his life. That was real. It's just that Chili made it so incredible because we were in New York during release week. And Chili was in Atlanta on Ryan Cameron Morning Show. And she did an interview with Ryan Cameron and he said, why did you and Usher break up? And she said, because he did the unthinkable.
That was it.
He did something I can't even, ladies, it's the worst thing you could ever do. So, but she didn't say what it was.
Right.
So when Confession comes out, he says that, it set it up, but that wasn't that's not what even, you know what I mean? And her unthinkable was different than what everybody else's unthinkable. Because I think if in fairness, and I think if she would have just said he cheated, the women would be like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah. Men cheat.
Yeah, you be all right." You know what I mean?
Right.
But the fact that she said the unthinkable, it set it up in a way. And I remember, because you have to understand, we didn't have social media, so
Facts.
somebody had to send us a clip to a computer. I'm not exaggerating. Somebody had to send us a clip, and then what happened was somebody took the soundbite from the interview, and since we were in New York, Hot 97 was running it. You know, Chili just did an interview, and she said she had this to say about Usher. Boom, coming back from commercial break, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it went crazy.
Right.
And people were like, "Oh my God, Usher really had a baby on her." Blah 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 blah.
How could you do that?
How could you do that while I purchase your album?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Rico Love, from a Grammy standpoint, like, I saw your speech. So I'm sitting there last night and I saw your speech, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm listening to you speak, and I was like, I know what I know what it's about, right? Mm-hmm. I know what the organization is about, and I've been a part of different I joined the Grammy board like 3 years ago, and I did that because I actually wanted to speak to you about this too. I joined the Grammy board because I hate these people. Not hate, that's a strong word. I strongly dislike these individuals who are keyboard tough. Right, they're Twitter fingers, right? And so every single year, and I was a hypocrite at one time, just like everybody else. When Macklemore beat Kendrick for the Grammy, Good Kid, Mad City, and Macklemore, Black Twitter, the whole Black community, we all were in outrage, right? There's outrage for everything. I was part of that community. Like, what the fuck? How could this don't make sense? And nobody has ever taking the initiative to get involved.
Yes.
And my number one issue with people, I'll speak for my city specifically. This is Los Angeles. I'm from LA, and I speak for us. In my city specifically, you can speak for yours, is that everyone has an opinion and no one does shit. Everybody sits on the internet and complains, but nobody gets involved.
That's universal, by the way.
Okay. Well, like I said, I have to speak for my people.
No, I feel you.
So the way I look at it is, I didn't like how radio was. You know what I'm saying? We created our own platform because I didn't like how back in the day Power 106 was only playing fist pump music. Yeah. We were the ones. We did the first Kendrick interview ever. I did the interview where he changed his name from K-Dot to Kendrick. We did that on our platform, right? So we were the ones catering to the hip hop community from a West Coast perspective, right? Because I'm looking at the Wake Up Show, I'm looking at Sway and Tech, I'm looking at what everybody else is doing. So that's what my mission was, right? I didn't like the way radio was going. I went and got in the radio station. I was at iHeart for 7 years. I worked on Big Boy Show for 3 years. I learned under the one of the GOATs. Then I got my own show, right? Now we're here. I didn't like how things are in the community. I went and joined the Boys and Girls Club. I had outrage about the Grammys passing over Black people every year, or people being snubbed, not being nominated. I went and joined the Grammy board.
And became a voting member.
And became a member of the Grammy board because I want to understand these systems and how they work from the inside out, right? So that way I'm not just one of these people complaining on the internet. Your involvement, when I was watching your speech, I say all I have to say, when I was watching your speech last night, I was like, exactly. When you said this one piece, and I want you to talk about your involvement and where you are with that, but when you said this one piece, it stuck with me, and that's what, like, man, that's why I bugged. That's why I hit you this morning. Like, I need you, because when you spoke, when you brought them, when you had them kids come out, when y'all had those kids come out, and you like, it was after your speech, but when those kids came out and you said something, I thought about that. You were like, everybody in this room is in this room because we're a community, to that effect. But when we call on you, I need you to pick the same phone, the same email. I need you to respond to that email too. That same phone call, I need you to respond to that phone call too, because this is important. Because we need to empower these people, and we need to pour it into our community, so that way we can shift things and change the narrative. But you can speak on that from your perspective.
So basically, I'm the chair of the BMC, the Black Music Collective. It's a DEI effort started by Riggs Morales, Harvey Mason Jr., Jerry L. Johnson, and Felicia Butterfield. So what we do is we make sure that we hold the Recording Academy, hold ourselves accountable, and make sure that Black people are getting their just due.
Facts.
They're getting the opportunities that they need. We're doing outreach. We're making sure that they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel loved. It should feel like a home in the Recording Academy for all musicians and all writers and all artists, but sometimes for people of color, it doesn't feel that way.
Correct.
So we're going to do our part to change that. Now, as a person of color who's from the culture, of the culture, no poser, really put in work, really put in time, well respected, got a clean face, never stole from nobody, never robbed nobody, never did no underhanded business.
I've never heard anything negative about you.
So what I have to understand is, if I'm a person who is a clean face in the business and I'm saying, listen, I know what y'all heard about the Recording Academy, but this is what we can do to change it. There's some things about the Academy that at one point I was ignorant to, and I got educated.
Facts.
As I started putting my time in. Come on in, guys. Let's put in this time and let's do the work. Let's become voting members. Let's make sure that we make a difference. Because you can't be upset with a person voting for somebody that they're more familiar with. That's so why don't we become the people that are voting, and we can vote the things that we are familiar with.
Right.
And that way people that look like us get an opportunity. Because of the way that music is so segregated in some senses, in some regions and markets and areas, I think that it's changing a little bit with streaming, which is a whole nother 2-day interview that we have to get into. But I just think that there are opportunities to make sure that the things that we feel like deserve the shot and the credits, get it. It's just about educating ourselves on how to do so. So with the BMC, I make sure that I do my part as the chair to lend my voice, lend my services, lend my visibility, and put in the work. Now, what we ask for is all year round that we create initiatives to empower the youth, young Black creatives, young women, people of color, people in the Latin community, making sure that they feel seen and heard and respected and loved as well. And we do our work. Africa, we make sure we're out and we want to touch Haiti, we want to touch Jamaica, we want to touch, the Caribbean, all of it. It's about us showing them what is available to them, and then creating a bridge for them to get there. Yeah. Here, it's one thing to say, here is this water. This is I want you can have it. And you're like, well, how am I going to reach it?
Right.
You're like, you got to figure that out. It's yours.
Wow.
What we got to do is we got to say, here's the water, and here's this table. And this is how, and I'm going to slide it here. Now, it's here. You're going to have to do something to get it. Now it's halfway there.
It's halfway there.
Now you got to do the work, and that's all we want to do is with the BMC is make sure that not only are we doing the work to educate people, but we're creating opportunities for them to use the education that we've given them and giving them the best opportunities to utilize it.
I wanted you to speak on that because I have a real issue with that. I see a lot of people complain every year, every winter.
I always ask the same question when they say, "Man, fuck the Grammys," and I'll be like, "So how do Grammys work?"
I love that. I'm gonna start saying that.
What you mean? I mean, they be like, so how does it work? Just show me how it work.
Yeah.
All right, so how you gonna say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like saying, fuck Rico Love. All right, cool. Why?
Yeah.
What did he do?
Did he steal from you?
I read one time on the internet that somebody said that he did. All right, well, what did he say about it? We don't educate ourselves enough generally.
Facts.
I just think that we look at situations and we form opinions based upon our own biases and based upon how we feel in life. And then what I mean by that is this. If I don't feel seen, if I don't feel heard, if I don't feel respected, if I feel like I'm raging against the machine, if I feel like there's powers that be that are keeping me down, then every system that I can look at and I can point to, and so if all it takes is for one person to say, the Grammys did this to me, I don't need to educate myself on it. I'm mad already because somebody else did that to me, so fuck the Grammys. It's just like if somebody get on TV right now and say, my baby daddy did this. And if somebody going through with their baby daddy, they be like, oh, he did it.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
You don't even have
you don't know what's going on. But that's what we do. And as a community, we get angry at a system because there is another system that we feel is oppressing us. And by the way, we should be angry at certain systems. We should even be angry at the way the Grammys used to work and function. But we also should be angry enough to go and make a change and make a difference and educate ourselves on how it works.
Go do something.
Go do something about it. And that's the key.
Or
if you say, well, I don't feel like doing something about it, well, you shouldn't feel like complaining about it.
Facts. If you got the energy to complain, you got the energy to go do something.
And if you feel like, well, I don't give a fuck that much then you shouldn't give a fuck that much to talk about it.
Thank you, bro. Oh my God, bro. I deal with that so much about when it comes from radio. Fuck radio. I'm like, well, how does it work? Mm-hmm. Well, you there. Okay, tell me how my job works.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, well, I left radio. So now, it's still, like, you don't even have the articulation.
Or they say, they play the same songs. All right. Why? Because these are the songs that are researching the best. These are the songs that people want to hear.
That's it.
And just because you listen to the radio all day, you sit in the house or sit. There's some people that when they hear that song, the song you heard 50 times today, they've heard once because they get in the car, they hear, oh, this is my song. They want to hear that song. If they don't hear that song, guess what they're going to do? They're going to change the station if they don't hear the rotation of songs they want to hear, which means the radio station is not making money. So there's a top 20 songs that they have to be played. Correct. The radio station have to play these songs at this time, or else when we've seen, research shows us that people are changing the station to our competitor who are playing these songs. So we have to go. It's a whole business, and we don't have time to educate ourselves, but we got all the time in the world to tell you why it's fucked up.
Yo, yeah, research TSL. That's time spent listening, okay? Average TSL is under 10 minutes. So if you want to do your due diligence on radio. All right, what's the first song you ever heard with auto-tune on it?
There's a song, first song I ever heard was Goodbye by Jagged Edge. Well, no.
Or auto-tune or something like auto-tune, like pitch correction.
I think Zapp Rogers.
Oh.
Computer Love.
Well, I guess that would be considered.
I mean, that was the first time I heard anything.
I mean, it's TalkBox, right?
It's TalkBox. But
TalkBox is technically.
Yeah, TalkBox is just the harder way of doing auto-tune.
Doing auto-tune.
Because it took absolute skill.
Yeah. You got to play in key and everything. You got to
him to put the TalkBox thing, and then play exactly what he was singing. No, that was difficult. But that first time I ever heard something like that. So when I heard a song called Goodbye by Jagged Edge, they had put it on at the end of the song. And I think they did it because it was a great take, but the note was wrong. So they added the auto-tune.
Little pitch correction.
So if you listen to Goodbye by Jagged Edge, na, 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 it's an incredible song. But that was my first time hearing it. And then after that, it was T-Pain Sprung.
Oh yeah, shout out to T-Pain. Okay, so from your perspective, because like you said, well, not you said, this is my accusation on Rico Love, right? Is that you're somewhat of a purist, which is why when you heard you rejected it, right? It's because you were listening to the lyrics. From a sonic
also like I couldn't hear a hit at that time.
Okay, you were untrained in the Jedi way of L.A. Reid. Okay, does that also apply to sonics, right? Because the auto-tune thing has been an ongoing debate in music in general. It seems like only black music, though. I don't never see white people arguing about auto-tune, ever.
Yeah, but the privilege, let's make sure we understand, whenever we talk about what white people do and what black people do, understand the comfort and the privilege. To be white means that I'm open to be wrong. I'm open to have this thing go. I'm open because the freedom of failure. Yeah. They have the freedom of failure. Yeah. We don't have it. So we beef about the most trivial thing, like the most ridiculous things, because
we have to have it right.
We don't feel comfort in our own skin. So whenever we talk about what black people do and what white people do, we always have to keep in mind and be sensitive to ourselves as black people to know that they can afford to not be upset about some things. You know what I mean?
It's the comfort.
Because it's going to be okay.
Right.
Regardless.
It ain't necessarily going to be okay all the time.
Exactly.
Okay. So do you feel like from a sonic standpoint that R&B helped or hurt auto-tune, do you feel like auto-tune helped or hurt R&B?
Auto-tune is a tool, and some tools are going to be overused. And at the end of the day, the biggest songs and the biggest selling songs and the biggest selling artists and the most successful artists in the world still are very talented people.
Facts.
We can say what we want about fly by night, one hit wonders, or artists that we think, but there's no way you're going to tell me that Travis Scott is not one of the most talented artists. Producers, writers, you can't say because he used auto-tune. No. You're not going to tell me that there's not something special about Uzi Vert. You might not like his songs. I'm not a huge fan of every record I've heard of his, but you're not going to tell me that there's not something special and appealing that the masses see in this kid. You can't do it. You're not going to tell me that Don Toliver is not masterful in the way that he places and arranges his vocal and the lyrics and decisions he makes as a writer. You're not going to tell me that Brent Faiyaz is not. Come on, the list can go on and on and on and on. And that's just me talking about the artists that's not even, with the exception of Travis Scott and Uzi, the artists that aren't even mainstream ultra successful. Now let's think about this. The artists that get us frustrated are the ones because there's so many of them.
Okay.
But it's not much room at the top, baby. And there are only a few that are at the absolute top. When you talk about the biggest tours, you're talking about Drake in 21. You're talking about Taylor Swift. And you're talking about Beyonce. That's the biggest.
It's the biggest.
Kendrick. When Kendrick went, no, I'm talking about this year. This summer.
Okay, yeah.
When Kendrick want to come back, it's going to be another. It's going to be another wave of that. So what we have to understand is that we get so upset because there's so much noise down here.
Yeah.
But up here, if we
up.
look at the most successful acts, Usher was able to go to Vegas, reinvent himself, sell out 100 shows, 3-year run, nonstop, killing it because he's absolutely talented.
Facts.
We get upset because there's so much noise. And we're like, music is dying. No, the people who are Adele, absolutely talented. Mary J. Blige, absolutely talented. We honored Mariah Carey and Lenny Kravitz last night. Absolutely talented.
Yeah, Mariah different, bro.
I
didn't realize she had that. I mean, I knew, but you don't know until you look at it.
No, she has so many hits.
The accolades and like the longest running.
Everything she's ever sang, she wrote or co-wrote.
Everything. Every word.
Every song from Mariah Carey that was successful, she either wrote it or she co-wrote it with somebody else. Not co-wrote it by taking credit for things that she didn't do, because a lot of artists do that as well.
Really?
I'm talking about she actually is a writer, a legit writer. She actually comes in the sessions prepared and will sing you the melody and the concept and will construct the song. She actually wrote her first album in its entirety. It's not a game with her. She is one of the best songwriters ever. It's just because she's such a big star, people try to discredit that. The same with Usher. Remember when Usher first came out, he was such an amazing dancer and a sex symbol that people would try to disrespect him as a singer. He's one of the greatest singers ever. It's just that he does other things exceptionally well, that people try to disregard how great he is as a singer. The same with Mariah. I think because she's such an iconic superstar, people don't want to give her credit for that pen. But that pen is mighty.
I didn't realize that she wrote or co-wrote everything.
Everything.
That's insane.
She is insane.
That is insane. Salute to Mariah Carey, bro.
Yeah. And she looked so beautiful last night.
Man, she did.
Oh my
she
God.
did. I ain't finna.
I was bugging out. I'm like, you saw me?
Yo, when you were on stage, you was like, yo, and then I saw you turn into a nigga real quick, and he was like, oh, I'm on stage. I'm at the Grand.
I was like, oh shit.
I want to talk to you about groups, right? Mm-hmm. So I came up. My mom is a huge music head. Boys to Men, Jodeci, Drew Hill, the whole nine. And then later on, I forgot Sean from Boys to Men.
Mm-hmm. Sean Stockman.
Shout out to Sean Stockman. I remember talking to Sean one day. This is during COVID. Everybody's in the house. Mm-hmm. So I remember talking to Sean Stockman, and he was saying that literally, I don't know who it was. I don't want to misquote him and throw nobody under the bus, but I remember him literally saying that there were people in the music business that conspired to invent the Boys to Men formula for the Caucasian.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so they took the Boys to Men, the Jodeci, the Drew Hill formula, and then put it NSYNC and Backstreet Boys in off. I mean, not off of one. The other, what I forgot.
Below something.
Nick
Lachey
and them. Yeah. So they basically
98 Degrees.
98 Degrees. Mm. Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees NSYNC. They basically recrafted those.
O-Town was the first.
O-Town after Boys to Men, Jodeci, Drew Hill. Yeah. Did you have that experience or knowledge in that?
I knew that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was,
so that's true.
It wasn't. It was the same as. I'm not even going to say.
But was it a concerted effort?
It wasn't a concerted effort to get rid of Boys to Men. I think it was just an effort to say, oh shit, we're going to steal it. Like, all right, we white, and we're just going to take things.
Like an appropriation.
Like Elvis. Like, like Jerry Lee Lewis. Like
same thing.
Like everybody. We're just going to take it. We like it. We're going to take it.
So that was a real like thing as far as like.
Yes.
Damn.
They took this. It's the same as New Edition comes out and they're like, oh shit, all right, New Kids on the Block.
And that's the label doing that, or
no? That's the. By the way, the guys who discovered New Edition when they made New Kids on the Block. It's just like, oh, it's bigger if it's white. Wow. Imagine how big we are and how still we got to struggle to get all this. So if they white, we cut through all that.
Wow.
More white kids.
Wow. So it's just demographic.
It's less threatening.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Beyonce. I remember you telling the story about when your mother was in town. I watched this, right? I watched this. You tell this story. And your mother was in town and Beyonce wants you to go to the studio. And you're like, yo, my mom's in town. I kind of want to go take her to dinner. And Beyonce pauses and she's like, yeah, so I booked the studio.
Yeah.
Is that one of those things where you don't say no or you can't?
No, that was the thing where she was telling me, wake up, this is your shot. You about to blow it. Don't blow it. That wasn't her being rude or anything. That's her saying, we are in business and it's time to do business.
Got you.
And from that point forward in my career, I missed funerals. I missed Thanksgiving and family reunions and Christmases and all type of things. I remember I was in London working on my first Father's Day. My first Father's Day with my son, before my son was 1 year old, I had to go to London working with Rihanna. I got out there, Rihanna didn't even show up. Yeah, no shade to Rihanna, but she didn't.
Where was she at?
I don't know. I went to London to work. We were writing songs, waiting on her to come. She never came. It's my first Father's Day. I would do it again today. You know why?
I'm with you.
He was a baby. He don't know. It's my Father's Day.
I'm
right?
with you.
So what I had to understand is what that taught me wasn't like, oh, Beyonce didn't get. No, it was her saying, bro, this is the game we in. Either you want to be great, or you want to be the greatest. And I want to be the greatest. So when you want to be the greatest, you're going to, yeah, Ma, I'm sorry. I know you just flew out here. I had my mom up at the Mandarin Oriental in Miami. She would have been fine.
She ordered some room service.
But by the way, Beyonce booked me the studio at the Satai. So I go to work at the Satai. My mom gets there. She like, we ordered food and dinner at the Satai, and Beyonce paid for that.
Right.
So my mom is like, oh, shit, like we good. It was an opportunity for me to realize, what do you really want? Ask myself the question, what do you really want?
How bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it? And from that point forward, my career changed because I was missing everything that people thought I had to be at. Cousins' graduations. I probably been to, in my life, 2 or 3 graduations my whole life.
Me too.
Because guess what? That's time. I got to work. That time of year, I got to get it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in my family was uncomfortable with it. But when they need that little extra, what's the name? They know who to call.
What is that like working with Beyonce? Is it very mysterious?
Yeah, she's incredible. But more than anything, she's the nicest person I've ever worked with. She's polite, she's on time, she's respectful. If she's late, she apologizes.
She apologized to you?
Yeah, for being late.
Wow.
So she's a human being. And
no, I'm not saying it like
she's
that.
She's kind.
I'm not saying.
No, I'm saying it to say she's a kind individual. Yeah. And a lot of times that concept of I can be nice and I can be successful is insane to these small level successful artists who walk in the studio and don't even know how to say hello and greet people and know how to be kind and courteous. And, the biggest artists I've ever experienced in my life are the nicest. The ones who was just in the middle, they were the ones I always had a hard time.
Rude, stuff like that.
It wasn't.
What's the creative process like while working with Beyonce? Is that something like, do you come to her with stuff that you already came up with, concepts, melodies, or is it collaborative?
I guess it's a person by person basis with her. She works very closely with certain groups of people, and I think they spend the time creating together, collaborating together. And she's very involved in sonics and everything. She's very involved. My situation, I wrote the actual songs that she and I did together, but she's such a force, and she has opinion, and she has ideas, and she's just masterful the way she sees herself and sees her artistry.
I want to get into some of your songs too, but also the other thing is, since I'm talking about the Beyonce thing, what about groups going solo, right? Do you feel like that's something that artists should?
I think it's amazing. That's what groups are supposed to be.
Okay.
And then eventually I would hope they would come back and do some stuff together. I still got my heart is still believing that Destiny's Child gonna come back and do something together.
I think everybody wants that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And
I honestly thought we were gonna get that on the Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought we were gonna get that.
Mm-hmm.
The reunion type of.
I would love that. I would love a tour. I would love all those things, But who knows? I think that the idea of groups and having some groups don't have superstars, right? But some do. Steve Perry of Journey was a superstar. So what do you expect him not to put out a solo record? That would be insane. Peter Gabriel, when he was in Genesis, he left and did a solo album. And then when Phil Collins became the lead in Genesis, what did he do? He became a superstar, and then guess what? He left and did solo projects. It's a natural progression, natural order of things when you have superstars in your group. Lionel Richie was in the Commodores. Okay, cool. Now, when Lionel Richie left the Commodores, there wasn't a superstar.
to
So
sustain.
yeah, so they could no, the Commodores could still work and tour, but nobody else could go and do a solo album out of that because he was the superstar.
The sauce, yeah. Hey Daddy is one of them songs like that I felt like you know how men like a lot of your songs are really good records, but men that aren't secure can't sing them. Right?
All my lady say,
you know what I'm saying? Like you go already, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm secure, and I feel like that was one of them records where I'm like, this shit is fire, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It when you come up with a song like that, or you produced it, wrote, co-produced it, right?
Yeah, with the Runners.
Shout out to the Runners. When you do a song like Hey Daddy, is that like, okay, this is the single, or is it work out that way just because it's a great record?
When I wrote it, I knew it should have been the single, and I don't make the decisions.
Right.
But what happened was I wrote Daddy's Home, and then they put out There Goes My Baby and Daddy's Home at the same time, top of the year. So during the Christmas break, I remember my man DJ O.
You had a good year.
Yeah. That was a great year. I had a bunch of hits that year. But I remember DJ O called me and was like, yo, we just got this new record that say Turn the Lights On. It's you? I was like, what is it? It's like, it's the Usher record. It's called Daddy's Home. We about to start running at the top of the year. I was like, yeah. He said, oh shit, we just got another one. It's called There Goes My Baby. I didn't even know. I said, oh shit, what they doing? See, he dropping two records. And There Goes My Baby and Daddy's Home was going back and forth in #1 spot. You know what I mean? Just swapping.
Had a great year.
Had a great run, man. Great time, and with that project we had, that Raymond versus Raymond album had a great run.
Usher, give me a worthy opponent in the verses.
Oh man, Usher Beyonce is the verses that I want to see.
Give me a realistic, like Beyonce's not gonna do the verses.
Usher not either.
Okay.
Like let's stop acting like.
Oh no, I'm not one of them people.
Okay, because you know
I'm not one of them guys.
Usher's that nigga.
No. I'm not one of those guys.
Okay.
I'm fully on the Usher train.
Okay. As long as it's clear.
It's always a common thread, like
Yeah, because when we talk about Beyonce wouldn't do it, it's like yeah, well then just the same way Usher.
No. I'm not one of those guys at all.
And by the way, Beyonce loves Usher.
I'm not one of those guys at all. I'm 100% on the Usher train, right? I'm also on the Brown train, but it's just that people want to see that. I don't know if because of the Vegas residency or not.
Yeah, I mean that would
and
be.
By the way,
but if you ask me what would be the perfect to me, I think that Beyonce and Usher is the
that's the one.
Yeah.
By the way, I do want to say this on record. I went to the Usher residency.
Yeah.
One of the best concerts I've ever been to in my entire life. Ever. And I do music for a living.
Yeah.
Right? It's
easily
flawless.
Yes, flawless.
Okay.
Flawless. And by the way, he has a whole club that comes out of the sky.
I'm aware. I'm aware. Last thing, and we can wrap up. Music, when it comes to lyrics, right? Mm-hmm. You started off rapping.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it that rappers don't get the same grace when it comes to collaborating songwriting as R&B artists?
Because of the ignorance.
That's okay.
Yeah, the ignorance of not knowing how the first songs were crafted. Eazy-E didn't write one rap probably in his life, right? And he's one of the greatest voices in the history of hip hop. So are you going to be upset with the fact that Keenan Ivory Wayans, Robert Townsend were writing with Eddie Murphy? I bet if you knew that, you'd be like, what?
Right.
Yeah, but
or even Chris Spencer writes a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Or the fact that Paul Mooney was writing for Richard Pryor. You know what I mean? So does that
Dave Chappelle and
does it mean that these people are not talented? No. What it means is that his delivery is insane. So what it means for Ice Cube writing raps and Ren writing raps for Dr. Dre is that Dre voice is dope.
It's still Dre.
He's still Dre though. You know what I mean?
Or Jay-Z writing still DRE.
Exactly. So the point is there is an ignorance in which how MCs being this battle thing and this I'm coming up on my rhymes and this musical lyrical purist thing that people don't accept the fact that if I'm in a room and you're right now you think that if Jay-Z is in a room right now with me and he says a line and I say blah blah and I say yo what about if you say blah 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 and he say oh shit, you think he's not gonna say that line? You're crazy. And he's the greatest. You think he's gonna be like, no, I didn't write it, so I'm not gonna say. He's gonna be like, that's a dope line. I'm gonna say that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that, By the way, when you become so big, it's the only time that people care anyway. When you become such a big star, that's the only time that people give a fuck anyway.
Facts.
So it's really not that people have a problem with artists ghostwriting. It's that people don't have they got to find something to have a problem with.
Just, yeah.
That's what it
Everybody wants to be angry for whatever.
And I just always say this, man. My kid could come to me and say that they were anything in the world. My kid could come to me and say, you know, I'm gay. My kid could come to me and say I'm transgender. My kid could come to me and say, you know, whatever. I'll love them forever. Unless they said that they were a troll on Instagram. Because these are the worst kind of people.
Yeah.
Like, these people sit up and they just go under people's to talk crazy
Real
about
shit.
everybody.
Real shit.
And then they say the worst case scenario, everything. Somebody could get on television and say, I'm sorry, that thing I said about such and such wasn't true. I was wrong and I was being hateful and spiteful. And the comment section would be like, I don't believe it. Nope, they paid you to do it. It's just that there's a certain group of people who hate themselves so much, or they see themselves in every victim that there is. And they want to create that. And they rage against the machine so much. And they can't handle success. And they can't handle looking at success because they don't see success inside themselves. Those type of people are the reasons why anybody could feel uncomfortable about co-writing or collaborating, because they got to worry about this individual who's never seen the world, who's never gotten up off their couch, who's never tried at anything, who's never been comfortable with failure, who's never failed and got back up, who's never challenged himself to be outside of the norm, outside of the community, outside of the city.
Yeah.
Those people are the ones who make artists uncomfortable with acknowledging the fact that they collaborate in the hip hop space.
Listen, bro, I got to get your thought before we go on royalty. The streaming thing is a whole nother conversation. That'd be hours, but the thing is going on with TikTok and UMG is prevalent. But then also you make money from the business of music. Like, you literally have made a fortune doing the business of music, right? What are your thoughts, just briefly, on the streaming era and are you directly affected by the way things are done now versus how they used to be?
Yeah, streaming definitely changed the way that writers, the shares that we get,
Facts.
especially on the publishing side, it's not the same money. But some things being put in place. We just passed the Music Modernization Act a few years ago to make it easier for us to kind of raise how much we're getting as songwriters. When it comes to that, I just think that it has to be a big change, and there's a lot of money being made. It's not being distributed, in my opinion, fairly and properly. And I want to make sure that I do my best to educate myself on why that is, and educate myself on how to change that. I'm not gonna get in here and say fuck the labels, because that's ignorant. What I can say is that I don't know exactly how everything is functioning, and that is a problem because there's nobody who can give me a clear answer.
There's no answers.
So what I would like to do is try my best to figure out the Rubik's Cube of it all. And then I can start saying, this is why this isn't working and we need to change it. What I do know is there's a ton of money being made, there's a ton of money being distributed, and it's not coming in a way towards in the direction of the writers and the producers as it should be.
That's
and
a fact.
I want to do more work to understand why. And that's the best way to look at it. But you can't go in these situations and saying, fuck these labels and they doing this and expect for them to have their doors open and say, oh, Rico, we heard you said fuck us. Come on, come talk to us. Why you feel this way?
Yeah.
Nah, so you got to be mature about it and understand, like, there's something going on and we got to figure out how to change it.
The king of R&B, does that exist?
Usher.
Say less. I'm with you. Man, thank you, bro. I've been trying to get you in here forever. I got more stuff. We could talk forever, but I know you got to go. But I just appreciate you. One, for your contribution to the culture. Two, because you actually do things. You actually move on action, and it's not just lip service and thumbs and, you know, all of that internet stuff. And then also, I also appreciate you because I've never really heard your name in no mess.
No.
You know what I'm saying? As far as, oh, Rico don't pay on time, or Rico hasn't sent this in, or like, I've never heard that. And I know we know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's important too. I remember my brother Charlemagne told me, he said, protect your reputation with your life, because it is your life when it comes to
it's
this.
your livelihood. That's why, you know, there are a few people that had discrepancies with me, and you would see the consistencies in their character. So that doesn't bother me. So there's always going to be a group of people that have something to say.
Facts.
And going to tell us different story. But you'll see the consistencies in each of those people's characters, right?
Or inconsistencies.
Or you'll see, but even the way they match each other,
Yeah.
right? But one thing I always say is, if you don't have a relationship enough to ask me a question personally, then you shouldn't be comfortable enough to have an opinion about it, right? And you've never heard me get on the internet ever respond about anything that was said negatively about me, because the truth is I got to be a leader and I got to be a representative for my children. And I got to make sure that no matter what, they got to look at dad and say, dad always handled things in a way that was admirable, that was respectful, and that was honorable, even in the face of ridicule, even in the face of kind of like people telling one side of stories. This business is funny like that.
Yeah.
So, and life is funny like that. So at the end of the day, I can't say that I haven't ever been accused of being a certain thing, but I do know that I know unequivocally who I am and what I represent, what I stand for, and a majority and the bulk of people who have dealt with me can be attest to that. And even the ones who say the bad things, if when they're on their own alone time, they know the truth. They know what I am and know who I am and what I do.
No, I appreciate you, bro, for real.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a pillar. You for sure a legend.
I appreciate that.
And you know, hopefully we can fix this. We'll have another conversation when you come back to LA about the streaming thing and like all of that stuff.
We should have a whole. We should have a whole conversation with BMC and discuss that, man, and have young artists and producers and writers, successful producers, artists and writers, and just get us all on the panel.
I would like to moderate that for sure.
And we can invite the streaming CEOs if they'll come. We can invite the people from Tidal, from Sony and from Universal. We can invite the people from Spotify. We can invite Apple Music,
Amazon Music,
and let's sit down and have a conversation. And we would extend our olive branch. We just want to hear them out and they want them to hear us out. That'd be amazing.
That'd be an amazing conversation.
Yeah,
I don't know how if that's in the card, but I'm with it. I'm with you. We can try to make that happen.
Let's make it happen.
All right, it's DJ Head, Rico Love. It's Homegrown. Catch you next time.
Turn the lights on.